El Zorro Plateador presents Myths for Today's Man. Stories, fables, and tales for a world in chaos. A man's frame is his egg. A man must endure a cold and cruel reproductive truth, and that is, your sperm is common and cheap. You may not agree, you may treasure your seed, but the world does not. It treats your sperm as though it has no value whatsoever. This makes some sense because any man can make as much seed as he wants, pretty much. Whenever he wants, pretty much. Spread that seed where he wants, pretty much. With whichever lady he finds beautiful and who will accept him, pretty much. Even if you become an old man, pretty much. But the truth is, your seed has no limits, and you can never run out. This means it's kind of cheap. By contrast, a woman knows her eggs are incredibly expensive. She knows she will run out of them, usually by age 40, and to deploy these eggs, to hatch them into beautiful babies, is inconceivably hard upon her body, mind, and soul. To her, those eggs are priceless. Be all this as it may, there lies another truth, equally cold and cruel, and that is, a man does have one egg, one priceless, fertile object within him, and that is the framework of his reality, the basis for how he experiences and deals with the world, his masculine frame. A man's masculine frame is his egg. You see, women themselves are common. They are cheap, like sperm. But your masculine frame, with all the meaning and power it carries for you, for your ambition, for your family, lies beyond all price. As a man, your masculine frame is the most important concept you can grasp and develop and grow. As a man, your frame forms the beginning and the end of your life and everything in between. It is your one irreplaceable egg. Unlike your seed, your masculine frame is priceless. Mark me now. Women are not the only ones who create. A man has the opportunity to bear forth something creative, something great, some plan, some scheme, some system, some idea that he cannot keep within him. And the very thing that hatches those plans into existence is his frame. Perhaps we need an example, so let us now hear the tale of Dickie Duck and his egg. Dickie Duck hatches a plan, a fable about frame. One day, among the reeds of a quiet pond, a duck learned that he was pregnant. "I'm going to give birth to something," he told his family. His mother cocked her feathered head and said, "No, honey, you can't. Only ladies can make ducklings." Dickie the duck pressed on his belly. "Well, I feel funny, like I'm going to make something." His mother patted him on the wing and said, I wonder what's up. Richard, perhaps you are ready to grow into a man." Dickie's older sister overheard this and said, "Nah, I feel like that when I have to poop. Maybe he just needs to poop." "Shut up, Sandy," shouted Dickie, and he swam away. The ducks of this pond were worried about something. They had noticed the water of the pond drying up more, and the pond was shrinking. This meant there was less yummy vegetation and fewer bugs in the pond, and they needed to fly farther away to other ponds to find all the food they needed. Dickie paddled over to the far side of the pond, gathered up sticks and mud, and made himself a nest. As he sat in his nest, he began to nurture his egg. The other boys on the pond floated over to laugh at him. "You can't do that," they shouted. "Only girls lay eggs, you idiot." "Go lick some frog butts or something. Get out of here," he said. After a few days, something came out of Dickie. What it wasn't an egg, but it almost felt like one. It was an idea. It was a mission. It was a plan that he had hatched. It was his frame. He sat upon this frame, warmed it, and nurtured it. The other ducks swam back around to make fun of him again. His older sister, Sandy, was with them and shouted, "Hey, Dorky, how's your ugly baby?" "Leave me alone, losers. Don't you have worms somewhere to smear on your butts?" And they left him alone. Ducky yanked out a bunch of pond reeds, dried them in the sun on some rocks, and then wove them into a harness to carry his eggy plan around with him. "That thing will never hatch," Sandy said. But the egg did hatch. However, it was no duckling that wiggled out. It was an idea. The idea beamed inside him like a bright lantern across the water. He figured out how to make the pond bigger. Dickie the duck had the idea to build a dam. He was going to construct something to make the pond hold more water. First he imagined where it would go, over there where the stream flows down the valley. Then he imagined the great mass of material he would need to make it, trees, dirt, leaves, everything. And then he imagined how he would get those things on the dam. And he set to work with his idea. He began pulling small twigs to block the flow of the stream. His sister and the other boys noticed Dickie working like crazy. The other boys saw him working steadily on his project. "You always look like a dumb beaver. Where's your flappy tail and big teeth?" said Sandy. But Dickie had a faraway look in his eyes. He didn't listen to or even notice his sister. "He's such an idiot, right, guys?" But the boys went quiet as they watched him work. He brought over small amounts of mud and pebbles over, and slowly he built a low incline of mud that blocked the stream, creating a low dam. The water level of the pond rose noticeably. All the other boys were amazed at Dickie, and all the animals of the pond knew that what he had done was good. Sandy stopped making fun of Dickie. One morning, Dickie called together all the other birds of the area he could find, the turkeys, eagles, owls, and thousands of sparrows. He asked them all to perch on the branches of the pond trees near his dam. Then he had the bears come and push the trees over into the water, and the trees crashed down with all the birds flying to safety. More quickly than Ducky thought was possible, all the birds and animals carried sticks and mud to create this dam. And sure enough, after a few rainstorms had passed, the cool, clear water of the pond rose. Within a few weeks, other fish from downstream wiggled up and over the dams, flopping in to enjoy the swelling pond. New reed patches, lily pads, and other plants sprouted, and other bugs and animal life moved in and became more abundant. The ducks soon had plenty to eat. Dickie became famous for making this pond. Dickie's Dam is what they called it, and everyone in the pond was amazed as they feasted on the new bounty the pond provided. The next year, Dickie soon found a young lady to be with him, and together they made a big brood of 12 ducklings. By then, Dickie was a deeply respected duck upon the pond, and he knew to always listen to the great egg in his belly. The moral of this fable is to protect, grow, and nurture your frame, like Dickie Duck. Look at what it helped him make for himself, and look what the others tried to do to his egg. They were attacking it, detonating his desire, sabotaging his dreams. For women in particular seem to love attacking a man's frame. For them, it's like a sport, the national sport of womanhood, to attack and rattle the cages of their men. But we must ask, why do women test men and their frames? If a man's frame can be so beneficial, Why do they try to damage them in this way? Women are like sperm. Just as eggs are expensive to women, rare, fleeting, a precious resource, frame is expensive to men. It is valuable, uncommon among men, enduring. It is a man's most prized trait. Just as women must guard their eggs, men must guard their frame. Why? Because frame is the bedrock of the man you need to become, the extremely rare, masterful alpha prize. When a woman finds herself such a prize, a man of value, she loves to try to penetrate that man's frame and test what metal it's made of. Just as the seed of a man attacks a woman's egg to impregnate her, a woman attacks her prize man's frame to pierce him, to impregnate him. When a man allows a woman into his frame to participate and act as a complement to his frame, she will attempt to bend that man's frame toward her vision of how she thinks it ought to be. If he listens, she knows that he is no prize, that he is weak and thus no good. But if he refuses to bend his frame to her, she knows his masculine frame is strong, sound, dominant. This trait of strong frame is incredibly attractive to women. And when she cannot change it or bend it, when she is near his frame but cannot affect it, when she finds that he will not lose focus, when she finds she cannot corrupt him, she admires that man all the more. This admiration she has of his bulletproof frame is a pure form of love a woman has for her prized man. So men, heed these words. Guard your frame as women guard their eggs, for your frame is the great child of your life. The end.